So in Canada, what is GST and what is a small supplier when it comes to business? Well, GST is a federal sales tax. It stands for Goods and Services Tax, and it's considered a value-added tax. And this is a federal tax, meaning it's charged across Canada. So regardless of which province you're in, GST is something you'll be charging on sales in your business in most cases. And then as a consumer, when you are making purchases from businesses, typically they're going to charge you GST as well. There are certain types of businesses, industries, services, and products that are exempt from GST, meaning they don't have to charge them or you don't have to pay them, or they're what's considered zero rated. So they're still registered for GST, they just don't have to charge it on those specific products or services. And for the most part, most businesses are not exempt or zero rated. It's just certain industries, products and services, like some types of groceries and medical services and things like that. So if you just have kind of a conventional business, like you're doing, website design or graphic design or photography or cleaning or construction or something like that, then typically you do have to get registered with a GST account, charge it to your customers or clients, collect it from them, and then file your GST with the Canada Revenue Agency, and then pay forward the amount that you've collected. Now, when it comes to being a small supplier, if you are classified and eligible as a small supplier, then you don't necessarily need to register for a GST account with a CRA. And now there is some nuance to this topic, so I'm going to refer you to the Canada Revenue Agency website, which I'm going to link in the video description below so that you can read in more detail, but I'm just going to cover this briefly. So a small supplier is basically a small business which is generating a low level of revenue per year. And if you meet this eligibility as a small supplier, then you do not have to register for a GST account. You don't charge it, collect it, or remit it. So for some businesses, they are maybe able to remain as small suppliers permanently. And then in other cases, there are certain businesses that can't qualify whatsoever, like someone doing a rideshare business or a taxi business, they have to register right away. So again, read the Canada Revenue Agency so that you can determine more clearly if you are eligible or not. But for most businesses, the way to be eligible and to be considered a small supplier when it comes to GST through the Canada Revenue Agency is when you're generating less than $30,000 in taxable sales from business activity per legal entity, meaning either the human entity engaging in business or a corporate entity. And this is calculated over the course of 4 consecutive calendar quarters. So a quarter being 3 months and the calendar quarters being aligned with the regular calendar year. So quarter 1 being January, February, March, quarter 2, April, May, June, quarter 3, July, August, September, and quarter 4, October, November, December. So if you generate over $30,000 in taxable income from business activity within 4 consecutive quarters, then that's typically when you're no longer a small supplier and you have to register for a GST account. Now, if you want to, you can voluntarily sign up for GST before you're required to, and there can be some benefits to that, which I've covered in another video, so I'm not gonna go into detail on that today. But just be aware that if you do register, either because you're required to or voluntarily, once you're registered, you must charge GST. Even if you're still considered a small supplier in terms of how much sales you're generating, once you're a registrant, you are required to charge GST on sales, collect it, file it, remit it. And now when it comes to the consecutive calendar quarters, they don't all have to fall in one calendar year. So if you're measuring that $30,000, you could start from Q4 in one year and then include Q1, 2, and 3 from a second year. That's still 4 consecutive calendar quarters, but they're in 2 different calendar years. So it's about being in consecutive quarters. And so once you reach that threshold of the $30,000, then typically you do need to sign up for that Canada Revenue Agency GST account. And how quickly you have to register for it and start charging depends on how quickly you reach that threshold. So if you reach that threshold very quickly, like in 1 month or less than 1 quarter, then you have to register right away and actually charge GST on that sale that got you to the threshold. Whereas if you reach that threshold in consecutive quarters, but not in one individual quarter, then you have a little bit more time in terms of when you actually need to register for GST and start collecting it. So if that's the case where maybe you're making, $10,000 per quarter, then you're going to reach that threshold within 3 quarters, but not within one individual quarter. So if that's the case, you have to register for GST by the end of the month following the quarter in which you reach that threshold, and then start charging it, collecting it, and remitting it. Now, if you never reach that threshold, if you're just generating like $5,000 per quarter and you never reach the $30,000 within 4 consecutive quarters, then you can remain as a small supplier and you never have to register for a Canada Revenue Agency GST number and account. Keep in mind though, as I said, if you don't register because you don't have to register, then you don't charge GST. And also you're not eligible to claim input tax credits, which are basically the amount of GST you pay for business expenses that can be used as credits to reduce how much GST you have to pay forward. So I know this topic is a little bit complicated. Our GST system and our tax system are a little bit complicated, but I hope that this was useful. And again, I really recommend just going to the CRA website, which I will link in the video description below, and you can do some more reading there just to get a better understanding of how this all works. So if the video was useful, please click like and feel free to check out my YouTube channel here, where I currently have about 275 videos that cover business management and business startup topics. And many of my videos are based on Canadian business content as well.